Alright, Shalom, Shalom, Israel. I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'Shem Mashiach, Wamalak Yahweh Shah, Yahweh being the name of the Father, who the world calls God, and Yahweh Shah being the name of his only begotten Son, who the world only calls Jesus Christ. Alright, strong Shalom to all the mighty men that guard and labor and do all they can to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Alright, another strong Shalom to all the mighty sisters that's reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things, submissive, out there taking care of the households, and teaching the younger women how to be sober, tender, and delicate, and on fire for the Lord. Alright, another strong Shalom to all the mighty children and teenagers in this thing as well, doing all they can to be on fire for the Lord as well. Alright, and the topic of this video is, who really want to die for the Lord right now? Alright, I'm going to say it again. Who really want to put their life on the line for the Most High? Right? Because literally, you got to think about everything you have done in the world. How you used to be a homosexual, a murderer, an adulterer, right? A harlot, smoking weed, right? You got to have this mentality, who really want to die for the Lord. Now, we don't know our lots. We don't know what the Lord is going to choose for us to do. All right. But I'm trying to die for the Lord, Lord willing. All right. It will be an honor, man, to forsake all of this wicked world, the wicked societies, everything that America stands for. All right. To forsake all of that and put your life on the line for the Lord and inherit everlasting life. Because that's what the men of the Lord did. All right. Peter did that. The apostles. Paul got beheaded for the Lord, man. Andrew, right? James, and Yahweh Shah himself, he died for the Most High. So how much more for his servants? All right, and we gotta arm ourselves in that mindset. Like I said, that's not everybody's lot. Nobody knows their lot. But hey, that's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to die for the Most High. But let me get this in 1 Peter. All right, let me get this in 1 Peter, the 4th chapter. The book of 1 Peter, chapter 4. Salakia. It's the book of 1 Peter, chapter 4, and verse number 1. It reads, "For as much then as Christ hath suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind." So we got to literally arm ourselves with the same mindset that Yahweh Shah had. And Yahweh Shah, he literally forsook all of this world. He didn't care if people didn't believe on him, right? He didn't care. And you had Yahweh Shah, his own brothers didn't believe on him. When you read John, the 7th chapter, 5 on down, his own brothers whom he created didn't believe on him. But guess what? He still forsook everything and died for the Most High. Now, he had to do it. He didn't really have a choice. But it still shows you what type of mindset Yahweh Shah was in. He wasn't in a tight mindset where he wanted to play around all day. Yahweh Shah was kind of joking. No, he was a man full of sorrows. Right? I tell you that in Isaiah the 53rd chapter. Yahweh Shah, he wasn't comely to behold. He wasn't just a nice guy that wanted to hang out. No, this man, he was in a mindset, hey, I got to do what I got to do. And that's what the men of the Lord had, huh? Every single one. Peter, man, he died upside down because he didn't feel worthy enough to die how Yahweh Shah died. And that's beautiful. We got to have that same mindset, man. All right. Paul, he got beheaded. Right? Andrew, he got crucified on an X-shaped cross for the Lord. And he was still preaching 2 hours left. All right. James got them thrown off a pinnacle and survived. And then got beat to death. And he still held it fast, the testimony of Yahweh Shah. All right, let me get this in 2 Maccabees, right, the 7th chapter. All right, let me get this in 2 Maccabees, right, the 7th chapter. I want to get verse 6. I want to get 2 Maccabees 6 and 18 first. All right, it's the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 18. It says, "Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. Now you had this man, he was forced to eat swine's flesh, right? And he was an elder. He was up there in age. Let's see what he did. It says verse 19, but he choosing rather to die gloriously than to live strained with such an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment. So this man said, hell no, we're not doing this, right? He spit it forth and he came straight to the torment. That's how we got to be. All right. No, we're not getting the vaccine, right? No, we're not getting it down. Whatever Esau wants us to do. All right. Sell out, sell our soul. We don't care about that. Are we trying to die for the Lord, man? And I'm trying to be around brothers that's trying to do the same thing. I'm not trying to hang up. What we going to do today? All right. We should go to Chuck E. Cheese. No, brother. We're not going to Chuck E. Cheese, man. All right. We trying to do the work and do all we can to magnify the name of the Lord. It says what? Verse 20. As it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted. But they that had charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, brought him to bring forth flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make it as if he did eat the flesh, taken and sacrificed by the king. So they tried to literally twist up and still have this man Eleazar to eat swine's flesh. It says, verse 22, that in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age and the excellency of his ancient years and the honor of his great head, whereunto he was come in his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by God, wherefore he answered accordingly, and he willing them straightway to send him to the grave. He said, we not dealing with this. You could send me straight to the grave, man. All right? We're not selling out. We holding fast the name of the Lord. You got to constantly remind yourself and go over these things. It's nothing in this world for you to enjoy. You have to literally look, right? You still got to work. You still going to have your brother's going to have an evil eye toward you. Strife. The family member is not going to like you. Your friends don't like you. They scoffing. People damn scoffing on the comment board. What is here for you to really enjoy? You got to think about that, man. Right? The Lord said this is not your rest. It's polluted. Everything in this world is polluted. Right? You can't even enjoy the feast days. All right? Now the feast days, we get down, but hey, you can't really enjoy that. You can't even enjoy your children here. Your wife, your family. You really, only thing I got really joy is doing the work of the Lord, man. That's it. Other than that, I can't take joy in nothing else here. There's nothing else here to be happy about. You still getting raped, robbed, and murdered. Your people are still getting oppressed, shot and killed in the streets. What do you have here? You have nothing here in America. Let me keep reading. Verse 24. For it becometh not our age, said he, and any wise to disassemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 years old and 10, so this man was 90 years old, were now going to a strange religion. See that? So I'm going to keep reading. Verse 25. And so they through my hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer should be deceived by me, and I get a stain to my old age and make it abominable. And he said, I'm willing to die for the Lord, that for men to look up to me and literally give up the faith, man. All right, lest it be a stain to my old age. It says what? Verse 26. For though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. He said, hey, if I eat this swine, I might escape the punishment of men. But guess what? Hey, the Lord, he gonna get up with me. Let me get this in Hebrews 10. And that's the mindset you gotta have. If I give up and give over to the so-called white man, all his philosophies and doctrines, how much more when I fall into the hands of the Most High? Hey, the Lord, he could jack you up 10 times more than a so-called white man can. So-called white, he might torture you. He might cut your head off. Hey, the Lord could have you die slowly from a scorpion bite. Right? Hey, the brother said the Lord got our number. Yeah. Hey, the Lord could literally kill every single one of your family members and watch you see it and then kill you last. The Lord could surround you in a room full of poisonous snakes and have you get bit to death. Alright, so it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the Lord. Right? It's nothing that man could do to you that the Most High can't do to you. You got to really think about that. Yes, man, like I said, man could chop off your hands. Man could drown you to death. Hey, but the Most High, he could destroy your soul. Alright, let me get this in Hebrews 10. It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 10. Alright. And verse, I believe I'm on number 31. This Hebrews 10 and 31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. So it's fearful. You should be scared to fall into the hands of the Lord. Like Susanna, when you read history of Susanna, verse 20, and she said, it's better for me to fall into the hands of the Lord than to fall into your hands than the hands of the Lord, man. Alright, so our forefathers, foremothers, we all knew that. And Eleazar, he knew that especially. And this man was 90 years old. He was forced to eat swine's flesh. And he said, no, we're not dealing with that. You could kill me right now. I'm going to keep reading. 2 Maccabees 6 and 27. It says, wherefore now manfully changing this life, I will shew myself such as one, as my age require, and leave a notable example to such as be young. So you got to think about this. When you die for the Lord, not only as you die for the Lord and might enter into everlasting life, and you might be an example to somebody behind you. Right? I like to always use this example. Let's say you have someone in the guillotine. They right in front of you. All right. And he died. He get his head chopped out for the Most High. Hey, that might exhort you to, okay, this brother did it. Hey, go ahead. Next thing you know, you get your head chopped off for the Lord. Next thing you know, the brother that's behind you, he get his head chopped off for the Lord, man. Alright? So it's all by being an example to the flock. You got to think that. Alright? You might have somebody always watching you. Alright? Somebody might be looking up to you. And guess what? If you forsake the Lord, you might offend that little one. And the Lord gonna really get up with you if you offend the little one. Alright? I'm going to keep reading. It says, verse 28 again, and leave a notable example to such as be young, to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. And when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment. Right? Right, the brother put 2 Timothy 2 and 3. That's right. Endure hardness as a good soldier of Hamashiach Wamalak Yahushua. Right? So this man was immediately took to the torment, man. He said, hey, I'm willing to leave a notable example to everybody that's younger than me. And they took him straight to the torment. Verse 29. They that led him charging the good will, they bear him a little before into hatred, because the aforesaid speeches proceeded as they thought from a desperate mind. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that have the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in my body by being beaten, but in soul and well content to suffer these things, because I fear him, man. Right? Shalom, King. He said, I fear the Lord. Right? That's why I'm dying for him. I'm not dying because what man thinks. All right? He said, yeah, I'm suffering these pains. I'm getting whooped in. I'm getting my fingers chopped. That's what might happen. You might get your fingers chopped off. But he said, guess what? I feel well in my soul because I fear the Lord. Let me get this in Sirach, the 25th chapter. And it's nothing better than the fear of the Lord. It tells you that. Let me get this in Sirach. Right, this is the book, Sirach, chapter 25 and verse 10. Oh, how great is he that findeth wisdom. Now, a man that finds wisdom, hey, it's beautiful, right? He might find wisdom. You might, learn Revelation 11, Genesis 1. But it says what? Yea, there is none above him that feareth the Lord. So is nothing above a man that fears the Lord, man. And that's what Eleazar did. He feared the Lord. Susanna, she feared the Lord. Paul, Timotheus, right? Peter, Andrew, Bartholomew, James, right? Jude. All of these men feared the Lord and they died for him manfully. Right? So let me go back to, I want to go back to 2 Maccabees 6 and verse 31. And thus this man died, leaving his death for example of a notable courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. Even to us, man. We read 2 Maccabees, the 6th chapter right now, and we looking at Eleazar as an example. So what this man did by dying for the Lord and not eating swine's flesh, guess what? I'm looking up to that man. All right? And he was 90 years old. How much more are you in your 20s? All right? You might be 18, 17, down 30 years old. This man was 90 years old and died for the Lord, man. Right? So let me go to I'm going to go to 2 Maccabees 7 and 1. It says, it came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh and were tormented with scourges and whips. Right? So you had 7 other men. Right? Shalom, king. You had 7 other men. They was compelled to eat swine's flesh. Now, when you read 2 Maccabees, the 7th chapter, it get in depth, man. You might even start crying. All right, but the thing, we got to arm ourselves in this mindset. It's the mindset I'm trying to be in, right? I'm trying to die for the Lord willing, man. And every brother that's on his call, on his live, should be in the same mindset as well. Verse 2, it says, but one of them that spake first said thus, what wouldest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers. Right? He said, hey, why are you even asking me, should I eat swine's flesh? You should already know the answer, man. We ready to die than to transgress the laws of the Most High. That's mighty, man. He said, that was me, king. Yeah, huh? All right, that was mighty, man. Verse 3, then the king, being enraged, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot. So imagine that. The king got so mad, he said, you know what? Go get me an iron skillet. All right. And it wasn't just the iron skillet you kind of cook with in the kitchen, right? Your wife or your mom might cook eggs on it. No, I'm led to believe that iron skillet was down like a damn trampoline, man. As big as a trampoline and made hot. All right. And you got brothers, they scared to damn get in the hot tub, man. How much more when you got grease on there and it's sizzling? All right, brothers got to really think about this, man. How much more when a damn pot is 400 degrees? Right? It says, verse 4, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first. So he wanted to cut this man's tongue out. All right. Now you kind of bite your tongue. You're like, you're bleeding. You might start crying. Hey, the king wanted to cut this man's tongue out. It says what? And to cut off the uttermost parts of his body. And there's no telling what are the uttermost parts he was talking about. That could have kind of been his rod, man. Imagine that. One of your torturers in Jacob's trouble, and you got to kind of get your rod cut off. Now, we got to kind of go there, but it's for edification. Imagine that. Hey, that's scary, man. All right? Only a fool would say, nah, I think I could do that. All right. No, that's kind of scary, man. But guess what? Hey, it is what it is, man. It says the rest of his brethren and his mother looking on. So you had all his brothers looking at him and his mom. It says verse 5. Now when he was thus maimed and all his members, he commanded him being yet alive to be brought to the fire and to be fried in a pan. You know how brothers literally kind of cook fried chicken? Or you let that grease get on you, and that grease kind of get hot. You kind of pull your hand, you're like, dang. And then the chicken sizzling. Hey, that's what the king wanted to do to our forefathers. He said, hey, fry this man alive. Like I said, there's no telling how hot that frying pan was. Alright, it says what? And as the vapor of the pan was good for a space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying this. And you had his men around exhorting him. And that's what we have to do. We have to exhort the men that's just coming into the truth. Hey, this truth might require you to die for the Lord. We got to exhort them. Now, we can't say, well, I don't know about that dying for the Lord. You know, I don't know. That might be dead. No, man. It's always on the table. It's always a topic to talk about. All right. Like I said, everything you've done in the truth, even in the truth and in the world, used to be a murderer. Down playing video games all day while you in the truth not reading. All right. Being a whoremonger, a harlot. Down. It's some things, man. Man, it's some things. Jake, you know how you was. All right, Jake, how you was in the world, scoffing against the truth. All of that, the least you could do is put your life on the line for the Lord. And it's not even your life, right? All souls are mine. The Lord said that in Ezekiel 18:4. So your spirit ultimately belongs to the Lord. It's not even your spirit to begin with. So how much more to offer it up to the Most High, right? Without receiving the world. A reward. That's the least you could do after everything you have done. Like I said, being lazy, not praying. Yeah, you remember that time you didn't pray before you went to sleep? And the Lord could have took you out of that thing. But he had mercy. The least you could do is die for the Lord, man. It says what? Verse 6. The Lord looketh upon us, and in truth have comfort in us, as Moses in his song, which witness to their faces declared, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants. So when the first was dead after this manner, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished through every member of thy body? So the first brother, he died. Then the second one came. And they pulled off the skin of his head. Imagine getting your skin pulled off, man. And then they laughing at him. Because Esau, when he torments you, he's not just going to torture you. He's going to mock you. Just like they did Yahushua in Matthew the 27th chapter. They said, if you be the Son of Man, hey, get yourself off this cross. So they was tempting him. This man getting his damn hair off his skin pulled off. And guess what? They mocking him. They saying, hey, all you gotta do is just eat this pig, and we can stop tormenting you right now. Let's see what he said. Verse 8. But he answered in his own language and said no. He really said la'ah, because it said he answered in his own language. He said la'ah. Alright. Wherefore he also received the next torment in order as the former did. Verse 9. And when he was at the last gasp, he said, thou like a fury takest us out this present life, but the king of this world shall raise us up. So this man had hope that the Most High will raise us up after this world, who have died for his laws and to everlasting life. So he ultimately knew that if he died for the Lord, you will enter into everlasting life. And that's what the Bible has, is so-called cheat codes. It gives you a guide how to get the kingdom. You don't have to be the mightiest man and know all the breakdowns to get into the kingdom of heaven. The Lord tells you. By what? By teaching the people. That covers a multitude of sins. Giving alms. Alright, praying. Fasting. Alright, Hey, if you die for the Lord, guess what? Hey, you basically got a first round spot on a chariot if you die for the Lord. If you bury the dead in Jacob's trouble, all right, you taking first in the damn resurrection, man. So the Lord give you the little clue details how to get this thing, how to really want it, correcting your brother. Or the brother said this whole account should set you. That's right. This whole account, man, is crazy. This whole chapter says set you on fire. That's right. I'm gonna read verse 8-10. It says, after him was the third made a mocking stock, and when he was requited, he put out his tongue, and that right soon, holding forth his hands manfully. So this man, he literally put out his tongue on purpose. He said, you know what, hey, and he kind of did what he had to do. Verse 11, and said courageously, these I had from heaven, and for his laws I despised them, and from him I hope to receive them again. And so much that the king and they that were with him marveled at the young man's courage, for that he had nothing regarded the pains. So the king, he like, what the hell? And he was shocked at this man's courage and the faith that he had in the Lord. Because he was ready to die for this thing. He said, I don't get it over with. So what? We got to have that same mindset, man. Verse 13. Now when this man was dead also, they tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner. So, verse 14. So when he was ready to die, he said thus. Now this is what he said when he was literally ready to get put to death. To look up from hope from God, to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. So he told the king, he said, hey, I'm going to get resurrected. But you're not going to have no resurrection to life. That's literally what he said. Verse 15, and they brought the fifth also and mangled him. See that? So men, hey, they getting put to death like that. In Jacob's trouble, you might see 5 men get guillotined back to back to back to back. All right. So these men, they go into the torment like that, man. This stuff is real. And yes, we say all hell is going to break loose, right? It's going to get bad. But nobody knows or actually know how it's actually going to be when you're really going through these things. It says, verse 16, then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men, thou art corruptible. Thou doest what thou wilt, yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God. He said, you literally have power over men. All right, and the Lord gave you that, man. The Lord gave Joe Biden, these Trumps, these men that rule the earth, power. Right? So how much more for the Most High? You have power over men. That's corruptible. Verse 17, but they bide a while and behold his great power, how he will torment thee and thy seed. After him also they brought the sixth, who being ready to die. It says this man was ready to die, man. And that's what the title is. Who really want to die for the Lord right now? Who's really ready to die? Who's really to forsake everything that they have right now? The shoes, the clothes, or the money, the jewelry, everything, the family, and die for the Lord right now. It said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things ourselves, having sinned against our God. Therefore marvelous things are done unto us. And he literally, let me get this in Micah 7:9. Right? He said we going through these things because we forsake the Lord. We forsook the Lord and his ways. Right? Let me get this in Micah. The 7th chapter. It's the book of Micah. Chapter 7 and verse 9. It says, I will bear the indignation of the Lord because I have sinned against him. That's what he did. He said, you know what? We sinned. Our fathers went off and we got to bear the indignation. It is what it is. That's basically what he said. We got to bear the indignation of the Lord. All right, it is what it is, coach. It says verse 19, but think not thou that thou takest hand to strive against God, that thou shalt escape unpunished. But the mother was marvelous above all, and worthy of honor, memorial, for when she saw her 7 sons slain with the space of 1 day, she bare with a good courage, because of the hope that she had in the Lord. Now this woman, she seen every one of last of her sons get put to death in the same day. And guess what? She still had courage in the Lord. That just tell you how high and how on a spiritual level and mentally we thought in the ancient world. Because right now, if you see your mother let's say you're a mother, you have 6 sons. If you see them all get killed in 1 day, and you might want to kill yourself after that. Right? That's not a great sight to see. But this woman, she still had courage. And she was courageously exhorting them, man. It's going to tell you that in the next verse. So that just shows you how on a mental level, she wasn't worried about social media. Not that she had social media back then, but she wasn't meditating on folly. A lot of you Eves, you meditated on folly, man. While the baby in the back crying for the milk. You worried about TikTok. No, our woman was on a different spiritual level in the ancient world. It says, verse 21, yes, she exhorted every one of them in her own language, filled with courage spirits, and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach. She said unto them, so she exhorted every one of her sons to die for the Lord, man. It says, I cannot tell you how you came into my womb, for I neither gave you, Slakia. It says, for I neither gave you breath nor life, neither was it that I formed the members of every one of you, but doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generation of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also his own mercy give you breath and life, as you now regard not your own selves for his law's sake. She said you didn't even regard your own selves for the laws, statutes, and commandments. Alright? That's what spirit I'm trying to be in, huh? But I don't know about y'all, but I'm trying to be in this same spirit. It's beautiful. Verse 24. Now Antiochus, thinking himself despised and subjecting it to be reproachful speech, whilst the youngest was let alive, did not only exhort him by words, but also assure him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and an happy man if he would turn from the laws of his fathers, and that also he would take him for his friend and trust him with affairs. Right? So down Antiochus, he said, hey, you really I'll make you a king. I'll give you the riches. Verse 25. But when a young man would in no case hearken unto him, the king called his mother and exhorted that she would counsel the young man to save his life. So then he tried to bring the mom into this, because we mama's boy. Alright. But he tried to bring the mom into this to think the mom could get him to sell out. Verse 26. And when he had exhorted her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. But she, bowing herself towards him, laughing, the cruel tyrant to scorn, spake in her own country language on his manner. O my son, have pity upon me that bare thee 9 months in my womb, and gave thee suck 3 years, and nourished thee, and brought thee up unto this age, and endured the troubles of education. I beseech thee, my son, look upon the heaven and the earth, and all that is therein, and consider that God made them of things that were not, and so was mankind made likewise. Fear not this torment, but being worthy of thy brethren, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with thy brethren. So she told him straight up, hey, take this death, man. Go ahead and do it. Get it over with. Or I die for the words of the Lord. And it takes a strong woman with a strong spirit to be able to have that play out. It says what? It says verse 30. While she was yet speaking these words, the young men said, whom wait ye for me? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given to our fathers by Moses. And we not trying to obey the king's commandment. We trying to obey the words of the Lord, the commandments that was given by Moses. It says what? And thou that hast been the author of all mischief against the Hebrews shall not escape the hands of God. For we suffer because of our sins. And through the living Lord be angry with us a little while for our chastening correction, yet shall he be at one again with his servants. But thou, O godliest man, and of all other most wicked, be not lifted up without a cause, nor puffed up with uncertain hopes, lifting up thy hand against the servants of God. He said, don't get proud, right? All right, don't take everything you're doing that is just for vain. Hey, the Lord gonna get up with you. That's what he said. It says, for thou has not escaped the judgment of the Almighty God who seeth all things. Right? That's how Esau could get. Esau gets so proud. He literally thinks he escaped the Lord's judgment. But really, the Lord got a swift judgment coming for Esau when he least expects it. It says, for our brethren who have now suffered a short pain are dead under God's covenant of everlasting life, but through the judgment of the Most High, thou shalt receive punishment for thy pride. It says, but I, as my brethren, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers, beseeching the Most High, that he will speedily be merciful unto our nation, and that thou by his torments and plagues might confess that he alone is God, and that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon our nation, may cease. Then the king, being enraged, handled him worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was mocked. So the king was enraged. He said, you know what? I'm going to do you worse than I did all your brethren. It says, verse 40, so this man died undefiled and put his whole trust in the Lord. It say he put all his trust in the Most High. Hey, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to put my whole trust in. And you got to put your whole trust. It says, 41, last of all, after the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the idolatrous feast and the extreme tortures. And that chapter went out with a bang. Alright. That chapter went out with a straight bang. Right? So we're going to get into some martyrs, man. Real fast. We're going to get into some martyrs or men who put their life on the line for the Most High. Alright? So let me get this in Revelation. And we're going to go into some history. Let me get this in Revelation, 2nd chapter. Revelation 2. This Revelation 2 and verse 13. I know thy works and where thou dwellest, even where Satan seest. Right? Talking about Pergamos. And thou holdest fast my name, and thou hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas, my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. So you had this man by the name of Antipas. He died for the Lord, man. Antipas, martyr. Now we're gonna go into some history on him. Right? I don't know if y'all can see this, but it's Antipas. It's him right here. Antipas of Pergamum. Right? It says, according to I'm not going to read the whole thing. It is believed that Saint Antipas was Antipas referred to in the book of Revelation 2 and 13. As the verse says, I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name. Right? And this man, literally, when you go into the history, he holdeth fast the name of the Lord. It says, and has not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas, my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth, according to the Christian tradition, John the Apostle ordained Antipas as bishop of Pergamum during the reign of the Roman Emperor Nero. So you had John the Apostle, who wrote the book of Revelation. He ordained Antipas to be a bishop over the church. It says the traditional account goes to say Antipas was martyred during the reign of Nero from 54 to 68 AD by burning in a brazen bull-shaped altar for casting out demons worshipped by the local population. See that? So this man was put to death by casting out demons at Pergamos. I'm gonna get a picture. See that? Look at that. Imagine getting thrown in a brazen bull. Right? Imagine that. And this man, he was faithful to death. Guess what? He gonna get a crown of life. Alright? A brazen bull, man. It's nothing to play with. This is the thing that's coming. And you gotta arm yourself in the same mindset. These are all beautiful deaths, man. Right? I can't even imagine that. There's no telling how hot that was. Right? So let's go into Peter, man. Let's go into Peter. How St. Peter died. Right? How did Peter, the apostle, die? How did Peter die, the apostle? It says crucifixion. Right? So Peter was a martyr. It says Peter was crucified upside down because he felt unworthy to die in the same manner as Yahushua Mashiach Umarak Yahushua died. It's literally written. You cannot make this up. Alright, he died because he didn't feel worthy enough to die how Yahushua died. So, let's get crazy, man. And that's what's coming. Men might have to get slain. But you gotta forsake everything. Alright, let me get this in Matthew. Actually, let me get this in Luke 14 and 26. It says, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. So you literally have to hate your own life in order for you to chiefly die for the Lord. You have to hate it here. And that's how the elect are going to be. Let me get this real fast in Revelation, the 12th chapter. The elect, they're not going to love their lives. Right, this is Revelation 12 and verse number 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Right? So the elect on the deeper fold, they're not going to love their lives. No matter what they have. What type of riches. How you might be prospering. All the knowledge you have, the wisdom. Chiefly the elect on a deeper level. They're not going to love their lives unto the death. Alright? So now it's time to be praying more. Fasting more. Studying, reading. Doing all you can in the last days. Because these the times that is coming to this world. Alright, we're gonna get a few more martyrs. Let's get how Mark died. Right? The man who wrote the book of Mark. Alright, let's get how Mark died. How did Mark die? Mark the apostle. It says Mark in 68 AD. It says when Mark returned to Alexandria, the pagans of the city resented his efforts to turn the Alexandrians away from the worship of their traditional gods. In AD 68, they placed a rope around his neck and dragged him through the streets until he was dead. This is what they did to Mark. It's written. Imagine getting Imagine getting a rope placed around your neck and you getting dragged to death. Right? You getting dragged to death. Until he died, man. Right? You cannot make this up. Right, let's get how James. Let's get how the brother of him, Mashiach Wamalak Yahushua, died. How did James the apostle die? Right? And James died in 62 to 69 AD for the history. Right? Slovakia. It says James was beheaded by order of the King Herod I of Judea, according to the Spanish tradition. His body was taken where his shrine attracts Christian pilgrims all over the world. So James got beheaded by King Herod. Alright, this is literally going into the history. Alright, now let's get that in Acts, the 12th chapter. Let's get that in Acts. It's the book of Acts, chapter 12, and verse number 1. Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hand to vex certain of the church, and he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. Right, so James, right, the brother of Christ, he literally got martyred for his own brother, man, for Yahushua. Alright, so we going through the accounts of different men who got put to death for the words of the Lord. So James, alright, we're gonna get a few more. I'm gonna go to how Andrew died. Andrew the apostle. Actually, let's go to Nathaniel. How did Nathaniel the apostle die? Are we going into the history? Bartholomew, the one who, when Christ laid eyes on him, he said, an Israelite indeed. Alright. It says crucifixion. According to the popular Haggafari, the apostle was flayed alive and beheaded. See that? He was flayed. Imagine getting flayed alive by a whip. Alright. You getting your back beat in, then you getting beheaded for the words of the Lord. Alright. So let me get this in I'm gonna get one more precept. I'm gonna close out. Alright, let me get this. And so like I wanna get this in Sirach. Right. So brothers and sisters gotta have this mindset in the last days. It's no time for folly, mischief, madness, slothfulness. It's literally time to do all you can for the Heavenly Father and to magnify his name 10 times more. It's Baruch chapter 4 and verse 28. Strive for the truth unto death. I'm gonna read it again. It says, strive for the truth unto death. So you gotta strive for the truth, man. And the brothers who really want it, hey, those will be the brothers who really strive. It says, and the Lord shall fight for thee. So brothers gotta keep that in mind. Continue to strive for the truth unto death. Right? So Lord willing, this video was edifying. Giving all honor, glory to the Most High Yahweh. Ba'ashem Mashiach Wamalak Yahushua. With that, Kwam Yashala. Shalom.